Hello, I'm Murad. In today's course, we're going to see the verb phrase. The verb phrase is a phrase that consists of a main verb or a main verb and other verbs. These verbs can be modals or auxiliary verbs. At this point, we are going to see what does it mean to be one main verb or one main verb and other verbs. This leads us to verb phrase. Verb phrase. Verb phrase can be complex, or simple. Can be complex or simple. Simple when it consists of just one main verb. For example, I play football. Here the verb play is just one main verb. It consists of just one main verb, which is play. Here is the opposite. When we talk about complex verb phrase, it can contain more than just one verb, 3 or 4. Okay, for example, I have been playing football. I have been playing football. As you see here, have been playing, just an auxiliary verb, and here playing is the main verb. So playing is the main verb, which is have been is just auxiliary. It's just an auxiliary verb. So it is quite simple. A verb phrase consists of one main verb or a main verb and other verbs. These verbs might be modals or auxiliary verbs. This leads us to see what are the types of verbs that we might have in a verb phrase. Okay, so it's very interesting to know the verb phrase in order to be able to deal with the verb while reading or speaking. So we said verbs. We're going to see types of verbs, and there are 3. Number 1, action, verbs of action. Verbs of action, when we talk about verbs like to play, to study, to run. So these are verbs of action. Here we have verbs of or models, and here we have auxiliary verbs. When we talk about models, actually we talk about helping verbs that express a certain meaning, probability, possibility, ability, prohibition, or certainty. For example, for ability, we can say, I can do it. I can succeed. I can succeed, for example. So here, the verb can is a modal verb. Which is the main verb is succeed. This is the main verb. This is the main verb. When it comes to auxiliary verbs, we have 3 verbs in English. We have the verb to have, we have the verb to be, and we have the verb to do. We all agree on that, right? So we have, for example, I am studying. I am studying. Sorry, it's not clear. Sorry. So I am, for example, I'm running. So here the verb to be, I am, is just an auxiliary verb. The main verb is running. This is the main verb. Whereas am is just the conjugation of the verb to be present, simple, and it is just an auxiliary verb. And all these verbs can be used in the same time. We say I have been running, or I have run, I don't run. So they are used just as helping verbs or auxiliary verbs in conjugation, on the conjugation of verbs. All right, I hope that that's clear. We now are going to see other types of verbs. There are a lot of types of verbs actually. So verbs can be finite or non-finite. All right. So finite verbs are verbs that show agreement with the subject. In fact, in order to understand finite verbs, you have to understand that finite verbs are verbs that are conjugated. Whenever a verb is conjugated in a particular tense, that verb is finite. When it is not conjugated, it's not a finite verb. So let's start by not finite verb in order to understand perfectly what we mean by non-finite verbs. For example, non-finite verbs can be infinitive. So we have the infinitive. This is the first part. The infinitive takes two sides: bare infinitive and full infinitive. What we mean by this is bare infinitive, a verb that doesn't have two. For example, they help me solve the problem. They help me, or they helped me solve the problem. There is no to here, okay? There is no to. They helped me solve the problem. There is no to before solve. So this is what we call bare infinitive. All right? I can give another example. I had my brother cut my hair. So as you see here, cut is a bare infinitive. It doesn't have to. This is bare infinitive. Alright? When it has to, it's not bare infinitive, it is full infinitive. For example, they want to go home. They want to go. To go. So to go is a full infinitive. It has the to. This is what we call by full infinitive and bare infinitive. So that's the whole point here. As I said, this is just the first part. The second part, the non-finite clause or non-finite verb can be participle. This participle can either be present or past. Okay? Present when it ends with ing, and past when it ends with ed, irregular verbs, and past if they are irregular, then we don't have the ed. For example, I'll give examples to illustrate that. For example, smoking. And here in ed we have, for example, punished. Alright? So we have here punished. This is irregular. When it is irregular, we might have, for example, broken. Alright? So these are the cases in which we might find a non-finite clause, either an infinitive, bear or fall. Bear when it doesn't have to, fall when it has the to. Participle when it is present, smoking, drinking, going, running, or past when it ends in ed, for example, punished, finished, solved, determined, broken, stolen, driven, when the verb is irregular. Alright? I have to give examples in order to illustrate what I am talking about. For example, I can say, so the infinitive, we can say, I want to drink. I helped him solve the problem. So this is for the infinitive. And participle, for example, smoking. For example, smoking is bad. So smoking, ing, or participle, قدر punished. He will never do it again. I'm sorry, I don't have any space in which I can write again. So punished, he will never do it again. That's the whole story there. That's the whole point. Alright? So here we come to finite. What do we mean by finite verbs? Well, just as a recapitulation, non-finite, either infinitive, fall, bear, or participle, that can be ing, or let's say present, gerund, present, or past. And these are the cases of non-finite verbs. I hope that the message is clear for you. Here in finite verbs, it is quite simple. In finite verbs, these verbs show agreement with the subject. They are conjugated, in fact. They show tense. They express tense. For example, I played I played football. So I played football. You see here that the distance is conjugated in the past tense and it shows agreement with the subject. That's to say that this verb is finite. That's the whole story. That's the whole point. There is another distinction that we have to bear in mind, and that's concerning verbs, of course. It's a very complicated course, and we have to be careful. So, as you see, verbs can either be intensive or extensive. We will see part by part. Let's see intensive. When we talk about intensive verbs, we don't actually talk about verbs that have a direct object. We talk about verbs that have just complements. An intensive verb, for example, can be, for example, I feel sorry. I feel sorry. As you observe here, I feel, this is an intensive verb. Sorry, this is an adjective that functions as a complement of the subject. Alright? So a feel here is an intensive verb. Why? Because this intensive verb has a complement, not a direct object. And that's the whole story. The difference between intensive and extensive lies in the fact that intensive verbs don't take an object, in fact. They take a complement, whereas extensive verbs take an object. Okay? And we will deal with that later on. Or we can link them, we can say them linking, we can call them linking verbs. Linking verbs. Alright? So, what you have to bear in mind here is that these verbs, intensive verbs, don't take an object, they take just a complement. Alright? So, I'll give another example. For example, here we can say, he grew angry. He grew angry. She became thin. She became thin. They got fat. They got fat. As you see here, all these verbs take just complement. Take complements. So angry, thin, and fat, all of them are complements, are not objects. Because this is not an object, this is just a complement, this is an adjective. Functions as a complement of the subject. And all of these three verbs, all of these three verbs are called resulting copular. Resulting copular verbs. Okay? Resulting copular. We call them resulting because they result in something. There is some kind of growth or development. He grew angry. He grew angry, there is a growth of anger there. That's why we call them resulting. She became thin. She was not thin before, but now she became thin. Okay? That's the point there. Here I can give another example to illustrate what I am talking about. We can say, for example, I am a teacher. I am a teacher. She appears happy. She appears happy. They seem active. They seem active. And all of these verbs are called, all of these verbs, all of these verbs are called copular, current copular verbs. Current copular verbs. Current copular verbs. We have feel, we have to be, we have to look, we have to appear, we have to seem. All of these are called current copular verbs, and these are called resulting copular verbs. Okay? Now we are going to move to see extensive verbs. So here what you have to take in mind is that intensive verbs take a complement. Take a complement. Extensive verbs, first of all, can either be okay, so transitive can be transitive or intransitive. Can be transitive or intransitive. Simple. Transitive verbs are verbs that take an object. Intransitive verbs, they do not take an object. I'll give an example. So transitive verbs, when we say, for example, I like English. I like English. So I like English, as you see here, this is a transitive, extensive verb, and English is a direct object. So we have subject, we have verb, and we have here direct object. Alright? Intransitive verbs don't take a direct object. They, for example, they are crying. This is the difference. So they are crying. We don't need to say something else because crying in itself appears to convey meaning. So they are crying doesn't need a direct object, but like, I like. So when I say I like and stay silent, that gives a hint that there is something missing. Okay, so I like something. That something is English. We cannot say I study and I stop. That doesn't make sense. I study something. So that something is, for example, English. I study English. I like English. I love football. That's the point. All right. But when we say they are crying or he died. He died. He died. This is an intransitive verb because it does not need a direct object. Alright, the meaning is clear? I hope so. If you have any problem with these, please leave your comments, leave your additions, anything you want to add below. I'll be very happy to reply. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel to help me build and lift up my channel. And thank you very much. This is a very complicated course, but very interesting course. It just takes some effort, mental effort, to really master this stuff. Thank you very much for your kind and close attention, and see you in the next video.